Welcome to Inspiration Contagion, where we spread inspiration one story at a time. I am your host, Holly Jean Jackson. Each interview spotlights transformational business leaders, their stories, challenges, and advice for how you too can lead yourself and others through inspiration. Learn how you too can achieve peak performance, build more revenue, and lead the legacy you were meant to lead. Hello, and welcome back to episode 84 of the Inspiration Contagion podcast. This week's guest is Joe Rivera. Joe is a resilience coach and a resilient keynote speaker. Joe empowers business owners, entrepreneurs, and leaders from hitting a wall of exhaustion and lacking direction by creating a simple roadmap to reforge their life and living in purpose while closing the gap between spirituality and wealth. With that, welcome Joe Rivera.
Hey, what's up, Holly? What's up, everyone?
Great to see you. I want to dive right in and ask you right off the bat, what makes you such an inspirational leader, or what's your secret sauce?
Being a person who doesn't just talk the talk, but I walk the walk. I'm a PWLE. I'm a person with lived experience. So I don't just talk it, man. I walk it.
I love that. We need more people like that in the world because, man, authenticity seems to be lacking these days. So let's dive right in. What does inspiration mean to you? What's your definition of inspiration and what fuels you?
I mean, first, my biggest inspiration is my kids, without a doubt. I love being a father, but also being able to have an impact and make an impact on somebody's life. I mean, there's nothing better than that for me when I'm able to empower someone to transform their life.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the power of the work that we do in the service industry, regardless of what you do. When your clients have big wins and they have massive transformations or massive awakenings, there is nothing that lights me up more than hearing from my clients doing amazing things in the world.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to dive into peak performance, Joe, and you're kind of an expert at peak performance. So how do you define peak performance and how did you arrive at your definition?
Peak performance just comes from, I mean, first of all, the routine, right? And starting your day and being able to be intentional, right? I mean, first of all, for me, starting off with a moment of gratitude as soon as I wake up and making sure I'm taking care of myself before I go and take care of business, before I go and take care of the rest of the world and do what I'm going to do out in the world. You know what I mean? It's really about being able to have that within, whether it's the gym, some type of exercise that you're putting into yourself to start your day with that gratitude. For me, that starts the peak performance. And then just being able to be able to put 110% on the field in whatever it is you do.
And what are some of the things that you're doing that help you recognize when your tank is a little bit empty and you're not able to give that 110%?
You gotta have a little R&R in your life, have time for yourself, that you're gonna have that rest and relaxation, right? And I take, I mean, I don't go hard 7 days a week. I take that seventh day off, man. I mean, you got to have a day for yourself to kind of just recharge. Take yourself away from the internet, take yourself away from the electronics. It's so important. I mean, people are consumed with those electronics, and just if you're doing it 7 days a week, all day long, it's going to rot your brain.
Just like candy. The internet rots your brain. It's like a drug. It's like those old the egg. This is your brain on drugs.
Yeah,
They should have that around social media and electronics and technology. Like, yes, it's a blessing, but also, my goodness, it is a curse. I love that.
They should bring back that commercial for sure, huh?
We're starting a new movement. Your brain on social media, your brain on Wi-Fi, your brain on the internet. Take breaks, use it in doses. Amazing. Cool. So peak performance, getting that R&R, having that ability to start with yourself, as they say on the airplane, put your own mask on before you put others
Yeah, it's
on.
so important. You can't take care of anybody if you don't take care of yourself. Your children, your family, your business, nothing or anyone else can you take care of, or anybody or anything, I should say, if you don't take care of yourself.
Absolutely. Now, Joe, we all know that when we arrive at this place of peak performance, first of all, I don't really think it's like a final destination. It's a daily, weekly practice that we achieve. But what were some of the challenges and obstacles you faced along your way to peak performance?
Man, I mean, I faced obstacles of the inner critic. I faced the obstacles of imposter syndrome. I faced the obstacles of substance abuse. I faced the obstacles of self doubt, worry. Having to overcome those, because that comes up in all of our lives, right? No matter what, nobody's immune to it, but it's how you're able to bounce back from it, how you're able to overcome it, and make sure that you're able to face it head on, because it's going to pop up in our life every day probably. But being aware of it and having that self-awareness, I think, is so important in order to be able to overcome those obstacles and really crack through those limited beliefs.
Mm. And Joe has one of my favorite comeback stories. So, Joe, why don't you share with our audience how you went from Park Avenue to Park Bench, but then you came back and made it even better?
Sure. Like Holly said, Park Avenue to Park Bench, for real. I mean, I was emotionally, financially, and spiritually bankrupt. I lost everything. I even almost lost my life. I had my dream job in the financial industry as a stockbroker. I was 25 years old, making seven figures a year. I thought I was on top of the world. I was putting in late nights at the office one evening, and someone approached me and they said to me, "Hey, Joe, you think you're a top producer now? Take this little round pill and you're going to produce even more." I was already smoking weed, drinking, or having some kind of mood altering substance in my body every single day for the past 10 years at this point. So I said, why not? And that's when I got introduced to opiates. And that's when my battle with substance abuse took off to the next level. I mean, my life went dark and became completely unmanageable. I was risking my life every single day. I overdosed twice. The last time, it took 6 cans of Narcan to bring me back to life. 6 freaking cans of Narcan. That same night, I'm laying in the hospital bed. I wake up. I pull the EKG electrodes off my body, leave the hospital against medical advice. And then when I get outside, I'm shivering, looking like a crackhead, like Pookie from New Jack City. And the first thing I do, I go call the dealer again to go get high. Wow. I mean, talk about feeling powerless over drugs and alcohol. Then came a weekend that changed my life forever. My sister invited me for an event. At that event, something clicked. I looked at my sister, she looked at me, and we both started crying. She knew exactly what I was going to say. And then those words came out. The words my family was waiting to hear for years. I said, I don't want to do this anymore, sis. I'm a shell of my true self. I was tired of writing my obituary. I wanted to begin creating my legacy. After that, I made the decision to achieve sobriety. And my story is not unique. Many people struggle with vices that create character defects. Mine was drugs and alcohol. Someone else might be gambling, sex, shopping, overeating, whatever that vice is. It interferes with us being our true self by having us isolate, not being fully present. It creates character defects. For some, life may become unmanageable. Some people lose motivation and their self esteem. I promise you, you don't have to live like that. There's a better way to live life. I mean, it took me nearly a decade to regain control over the steering wheel in my life. Over the years, I had a lot of coaches, done a lot of self help programs. Some have worked, some have not worked. However, I put together some powerful strategies that have helped me build the foundation to create my own destiny. I believe living in purpose closes the gap between spirituality and true wealth. I used to live an unmanageable life where I lacked direction, didn't finish things that I started. I couldn't get out of my own way. Now, I live an incredible life where I know the direction I'm going. I know what my goals are. And when I start something, I finish it and I shatter those goals because I built a reliable, repeatable, and transformational system that has helped me create wealth financially, emotionally, and spiritually.
Yeah, it's a powerful story. Every time I hear the story from Joe, it just like gives me goosebumps and makes me teary because it's just so powerful. And the reason I like for him to share that is, first of all, we all relate to stories, and I am certain somebody's going to listen to this episode and see some sort of addiction or vice or struggle that they're facing. And sometimes it can feel really lonely when you're facing that. It feels like you're the only one that's messed up. You're the only one that has these struggles. And the reality is, it's not true. You know, Joe had trouble with substance abuse. When I got out of my marriage, I had issues with codependency, and I did a step study around that for 2 years. And I found that the healing and the transformation happens in circles. It doesn't happen on your own. You really need other people to support you, remind you you're not alone, but also point out your blind spots. And all they need to do is be a couple steps ahead of you, and they can even be in your peer group to help you get out of that wrecking ball phase of your life where you're stuck in that pattern that's not allowing you to thrive. So that's why I wanted Joe to share that story, because it's super powerful. And if you're hearing this and that's resonating, you're not alone, and there is a way forward, and you should reach out to Joe. So, Joe, I wanted to transition and ask you, how do you create a culture of peak performance in your company? I know you have some folks on your team and you're growing. How do you create that culture?
For me, a big thing is making sure that everyone's in alignment with the mission, right? And another important piece is making sure the core values are aligned. The core values with the business have to be in line with the people that you bring in to play the game with you. Because if everybody's not playing the game by the rules and the values that you have, then your business is going to fall apart.
Absolutely. Yeah. Mission and values are huge, and it's entertaining to me. A lot of business leaders and owners and even companies have consultants that they spend thousands and even tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars on to create their mission and vision, to dig into their company values, to do culture retreats. And yet they don't actually do anything with them, right? It's just like this beautiful thing you have on the wall or on the website, or people need to quote, but they don't make it tangible and actionable. So I want to take it a step further than what Joe just shared. Every decision you make in your business should be related to your mission and your values. Whether it's your lead process, whether it's your sales process, your customer experience, your employee experience, your optimization, I don't care what it is. That is your compass and your guiding light. And that means that when you have your employees come on board, whether they're contractors, they're subcontractors, they're full-time employees, part-time, anyone who's interfacing with anything in your business, if they are not aligned to that mission, they're in the wrong place. You can't teach mission and value alignment. That's the one thing you can't teach. I'd rather you hire somebody who has that and needs some training on skills versus doesn't have that, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that's definitely something that can't be. That's got to be instilled in someone, right? Those values are instilled in someone, and you hit it on the button. If you got to delegate the responsibilities to someone else because that person doesn't have that, it's better that you delegate the responsibilities and teach the skills to someone else that does have those values.
Absolutely. So, Joe, as you've built your employee experience for, you've had more than one business. What have you done to create that experience so that peak performance is something each of your employees is able to achieve?
I'm sorry, Holly. I lost you for a second there. Can you say that one more time?
Absolutely. So, how important is the employee experience to peak performance, and what have you done so that each of your employees is set up for success?
So I think that what's really important is you got to be in the trenches also. You know, as a leader, you got to show the people that you're bringing on board that you're along for the ride too. You're not just playing, a manager role and you're telling people what to do. You know, leaders lead by example. They show people how things are done, and also showing people that you care, you know, that you care about not only them and them as employees or contractors, whatever it is you have, but also that you care about the mission that's in place and that you have that you're doing it with a purpose. I think that that's missing in a lot of business owners who are out there and just want to tell people what to do. They rather be manage people rather than lead them, and there's no purpose there, and people pick up on that. People feel that energy. When that energy is missing and that's lacking from a leader, people feel that, and then that's why you got a revolving door coming around and you never have people that stay for a long period of time.
Yeah, there's so many companies that also, I think that they grow so quickly that the leader loses sight of the mission and stops walking that talk,
Mm,
and they grow so quickly that it's at the expense of their customer base. So then they start to slide on reputation, and then they start to slide on employees staying around because there's more customers complaining because they're not able to deliver. So that's the other thing too, is you want to make sure that your employees are equipped to grow and that you're listening to them when they say, hey, listen, this is not aligned to the mission because we're growing too
right.
fast and we can't deliver on that. And that's a huge mistake I've seen recently so many companies make, is that growing too fast and not listening to their employees around the experience.
Yeah, I mean that's another key ingredient, right? Active listening and making sure that you're really listening to what your employees are saying, and not only just the active listening part, but what about like the empathy side of it, right? Being an empathetic leader is so important, and it's something that people lack and then wonder why it doesn't work out or why they can't keep people around, because there's that lack of empathy, lack of integrity is another important ingredient.
We're putting like the recipe together for the best leader possible.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about vision, the passion, and walking that with authenticity, the integrity, all of these good things. This is the recipe
Yeah.
for a good leader. So
Yes.
take note, everybody. Bake that in the oven the right way.
Love that.
So, Joe, how have you optimized your customer experience so that that is something that allows your customers to get the most out of your services and achieve peak performance?
I make sure that I always bring 110% to the game. I'm always, again, integrity is really important to me. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. Accountability. Not only do I hold my clients accountable, right? Because that's what I do as a coach, but I want to be held accountable too. If I say that I'm going to get you from point A to point B, I'm going to get you from point A to point B. So and I want to be held accountable if there's something missing. I want my clients to tell me, you know what, Joe, this is missing. We were supposed to do this, we didn't do this. And sometimes, you know what, we all make mistakes. If I made a mistake, I'll go back and admit it. We learn from our mistakes, right? That's how we grow. So just showing also that I'm also human, right? Because I think that a big thing that gets done with social media and building a brand and all of that, like people think like there's not supposed to be tinks in the armor, and there are tinks in the armor. We're all human, right? Even no matter how many followers you have, no matter how many stages you go on, we're all human. We all and I think that my customers want to know that, and when they go through the journey, they're able to witness that and see that, and building that rapport is so important.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, one of my challenges that I continue to struggle with and teach my clients to overcome each day is this whole superhero complex. Like, It's like I think I'm Superwoman, right?
Yes.
And I'm like, Holly, you're human. It's
Right.
okay. You're human. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to be sad. It's okay not to be perfect every day. It's okay to not get everything 100% correct. But like you also said, it's that partnership. I am equally invested in the success of every single customer and client I work with. And it's not like it just is the hours that we have our calls or the hours we do our consulting work. If my client or customer is struggling with something, I'll be at a float tank doing something, trying to solve their problem. Like going into that, oh, well, wait, Like I still take my time to unwind, but sometimes I have certain clients that have problems and like the typical things aren't working, and I'm trying to figure that out for them. So it's that equal commitment to them being successful is really, really important.
Yeah, I mean it's important, but you just nailed it also with the for them to be successful, right? Because when our clients are successful, that means we're being successful. And going on that journey, man, like we said in the beginning of this talk, I mean, there's nothing more fulfilling than when you see that person having that self-fulfillment and that those achievements in their life, and celebrating those achievements with them, being able to celebrate it with them, and is really a blessing.
Yeah. Joe Rivera is one of my favorite clients. For other clients listening, sorry, he is one of my favorites. I have a lot of favorites, though. Let's be real. Uh, he is delightful. He takes big action. He's not shy. He goes for it. And I love some of the big ones you've had along the way. Some of those speak off
Appreciate it.
challenges, really cool. I don't remember where I was with a friend celebrating something else, and I got a text from you about winning the speak off, and I was like, yay!
Yeah, it's been a blessing working with you also, getting me through some of those challenges and helping me get through those obstacles that I had.
Absolutely. Well, Joe, we're going to talk about one of our favorite things to talk about. We're going to talk about the money, the revenue. And the reason this matters is so that we can have more impact. It's not about just the money, it's about giving back. And we can't do that unless we take care of our own financial needs. So, Joe, when have you left money on the table and what did you do to fix
Phew, I mean,
it?
man, running a few businesses, that there's been a couple of times I could give you with that, but I mean, something that I've done, that I did for a long time, in my early entrepreneurship, was not asking for help and thinking that I could do everything on my own. Man, the money that was left on the table. I mean, was I still successful? Yeah, but not like I could, not to my potential, not to what I was capable of. And learning that it's okay to ask for help. It's important, as a matter of fact, to ask for help and be able to say, you know what, I need help in this situation, right? And also learning how big it is to get that help, right? Because you're able to delegate those responsibilities that you don't want to deal with. Man, I'm so happy that I've been able to delegate some of those responsibilities and be able to grow into the business that I know I can be, in all my businesses. So it's really, I think that's where I probably left the most money on the table, was being stubborn and not asking for help.
This is a big one. Um, First of all, when we don't ask for help, we can't see our blind spots. And I hate to tell everybody who's listening, you're a human. Like you
Mhm.
might think you're Superman, Superwoman, Bionic Woman, the Flash. You're not. And if you are, like, please come over and give me your services for free because like why not? Like that's amazing. I want that. I want to be Bionic Woman. But you need help. And the thing is, you're really good at something. We all have our, what I call our superpower gifts, and the gifts that we, by God, universe, spirit, have been gifted. And that's typically what people, their passion is about. That's why they're here on this earth, is to help people with that particular gift and that service that they have. But when you don't ask for help, it's like assuming you can launch a service-based business, but you don't have any business experience. You don't have any marketing experience, and you're expecting a lot from yourself if you think you're going to figure all of that out. I'm just going to tell you, you're not. And like Joe, this is a mistake all of us make. All of us make this mistake where we think, oh, I can figure it out on my own. I can
Mhm.
do better. You can't. So just listen to Joe and I and everybody else out there who has created a successful business. Because the answer is you need mentors, you need people that are helping you, and you need people to show your blind spots. I wrote a book on my health journey, and when I have health struggles, my family still quotes my own book to me. What you teach is what you need also as your own medicine, which is why you need somebody walking alongside you to keep you on point. So ask for help. All right. So, Joe, what is your next shiny object that you want to turn into a revenue stream?
Uh, um, that's a great question. Um, I think that I'm in the process of I'm going to be writing a book. I am writing a book. I'm in the process of putting that together. I got a pretty good coach who's going to help me with that, huh?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think that's going to be something that's going to be out there that I want to put together. Um, and I don't know if I don't want it's not a revenue stream that I want to do, but I do want to start working on putting together a foundation and giving back. I think that that's something that's in my path. I want to give back to substance abuse, because it's what made me who I am today. I say thank you to substance abuse. People ask if I have like things that if I'm ashamed of it or if I regret it. And no shame, no regret. I thank substance abuse for making me who I am today. I thank substance abuse for giving me the life that I have today. And I want to be able to give back to that community so that people could know that, they could do it too because there's such a need there. So I think more than a revenue stream, I think that's a project that I'm really focusing on.
These are my two favorite shiny objects to create revenue streams around. So let's start with the book. The book. People make this huge mistake when they publish a book, create a course, do anything. They assume that they build it, they'll buy it. That's insane. I'm here to tell you guys it's not how it works. You're not going to be Oprah overnight. You're not going to be like on the number one book list. You're not James Patterson. You're not any of these people, right? Unless you are. And then, sure, James, if you're listening to this, awesome. Please endorse the podcast. But I'm here to tell for most of us, yes, you can publish that book. Yes, you can have an impact. But it's more about who you're trying to reach with that book. It's about the strategy of that book. Now, if you're smart and you work with somebody that knows how to do this, it's about having lead magnets in your book. It's about making sure that your book strategically aligns to the thing that you're trying to build, whether it's your business, your nonprofit, etc. So you want them to be aligned. You want to have a strategy. And then you want to make sure you get it in front of the 100 to 200 fans that you want to grow in your business with you, that you want to hire you as a speaker. That's more powerful than going after New York best-selling book. Like, who cares? I care about you making money, having impact, changing lives with your story. To me, that's much more profound than anything else. So that's the book. The second piece is the foundation. A lot of the business owners that I work with, they're very mission centered. My calling in life is to heal the world. How I do that is working with owners like Joe who want to give back, who want to earn more money, not so that they're greedy and they can build their own empire, but so that they can then use that to fund the operating costs for their foundation, their nonprofit, etc. And that's powerful because not only does that mean that future people buying services from Joe Rivera and working with them on their own personal journey are also giving back a percentage of that to a bigger purpose. They're part of this legacy of healing substance abuse. So that's something else I love helping business owners with is how do we grow your business, but how do we also share that messaging? Because that's very compelling to buyers. They want to be part of a legacy. They want to buy into a mission and know that their dollars are being spent to vote and fix problems in the world that nobody else is signing up to do. So I'm really excited to work on that with you.
Love that. Love that. Yeah. And it's, I think that giving back piece is so important. And I think it's another part of being able to be at peak performance. And I think that's an ingredient that a lot of people don't talk about, right? Because, when you give back, there's just something about that. And it's not even what you get in return. It's about giving back without even worrying about something coming in return. It's giving back because of everything that's been given to you. That, I mean, man, when we wake up in the morning, it's a blessing, right? So right there alone, it's just giving back to communities that that can benefit from it. And it's there's so much out there that can use that, and I think that's something that needs to be worked on around the world more. I really do believe that.
Yeah, I agree. One of my core values is inspiration, and that means inspiring others every day. And I like one of my favorite movies around Christmas time is It's a Wonderful Life. And in the movie, he dies, but he's also able to like see if he were to die, what impact his life had.
Yeah.
And when I think back every day, I like to reflect at the end of the day, the end of the week, the end of the month, the end of the quarter, the end of the year. How many lives did I positively change? How
Mm,
many people did I inspire today? I try to make it a point to at least inspire 3 to 5 people every day. And then once a week, what I love doing is I do these punch bowl cards to all the new people that I met over the week networking and just sending them a nice note that's like an unexpected surprise of gratitude. And then
mm,
I also make it a point every single Friday, I choose 3 to 5 people in my world that I care about that need to hear a message of gratitude because they're struggling. And I send them an audio note. And I got to tell you, that makes my weekend on such a high note. It's like giving back and just sharing that gratitude. But I also know that when we do that, we have no idea the ripple effect we're having. I mean, it's incredible how just smiling at a stranger can change their life. You never know what somebody else is going through. You're never in their own shoes. So it's so important to give back. It's so important to change. And the thing, too, is like Joe and I are both starting nonprofits and foundations, but if you feel like, gosh, that's too big, that's overwhelming, there's smaller ways you can do this.
mm.
You vote with your dollars. You sign up for like donating money to a charity. You work with businesses that are aligned to these causes that you care about. At Christmas time, support a family that can't buy presents for their children. There's small things that you can do that make a massive difference in the world. And I got to tell you, that is the biggest source of inspiration and joy for me is when I can give to others.
Yeah, you nailed it. I mean, it's and sometimes it doesn't even have to be like giving back financially also, right? It's giving back. I
Mhm.
mean, for the holidays you mentioned, go to a soup kitchen and volunteer, or just holding the door open for somebody, telling someone that they're blessed. I mean, just putting a smile on someone's face is a way of giving back. And people need that around the world, because there's so many people that are struggling, that are empty inside, and you don't know whose spirit you're lifting that day. You might be saving somebody's life by putting a smile on their face. Somebody might, be thinking about hurting themselves, and you end up making them smile, or making them laugh, or making them feel good inside, and it takes that away. I mean, that's a gift right there.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is why it's so important for people to share their message, whether it's through platforms like this, like a podcast or speaking or a book or your services. Your message really does matter. So, Joe, this has been an amazing interview. We're going to wrap it up with 2 quick rapid fire questions, and then I'll share with everyone how they can reach out to Joe. So, Joe, what is the best one piece of advice you would share with others today?
Hmm, man. So I just want to, don't be afraid to fail, and fail forward, because fail stands for first attempt in learning. And the more you procrastinate at starting something because of the fear of failing, the further away you are from it. Procrastination's a grave that opportunity is buried in, man.
I like that. Fail forward. Ooh, some good stuff. All right. What's the legacy you wish to leave behind?
I mean, the legacy I want to leave behind is for my kids, my grandkids, and the generations after, to create generational wealth, but not generational wealth just money wise. I'm talking emotional, financial, spiritual, and really the legacy of around the world, closing the gap between spirituality and true wealth.
I love that. That's the most concisely I've heard you put that. We need to put that on the website. That's good stuff. I was like, wow, that's I want to get behind that even more. Amazing interview, Joe. Amazing stuff. I hope that our listeners took away some ninja tips, some strategies. They feel inspired. I sure do. If you want to get in touch with Joe, his website is withjoerivera.com. And his social media links will all be in the show notes. And if you're watching on YouTube, it'll be in the notes there as well. He's also on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. I hope you reach out to him if you're feeling inspired about his future foundation or the causes that he values the most, or you simply just need somebody to work with. Also, Joe's an amazing speaker. So if you're looking for a speaker, you should reach out to him as well. With that, Joe, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure.
Holly, thanks for having me on.
Yeah. And to our listeners, I will see you on the next episode of Inspiration Contagion. Thank you for joining the show today. I hope you were inspired. More importantly, I hope you take action. If the show inspired you, I ask that you subscribe and share it with your network. Let's spread inspiration together today.